Yo, what is up guys? It is Samool back again with another Epic 7 video for you guys today. And today we're going to be starting a new series actually. We're going to be talking about arena teams. Now the team we're going to talk about today is basically the standard Cleave team. Now obviously there are a lot of versions of Cleave teams, but I'm going to just show you guys, especially if you're newer to gacha games, how to make a Cleave team with whatever units you have available to your disposal. That being said, if you guys are enjoying these videos, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button to get updates when I have videos like this released. And also, check out my Twitch. We've been live streaming a lot. I've been playing some Epic 7, some World Arena, even trying out some other games there as well. That being said, Arena, right? So Arena, not World Arena, guys. World Arena is real time. We're talking about regular Arena. The reason why it's so important to climb, just to refresh, is because if you look at the Arena info here, you look at the League info, you're going to see the higher rank you are, you're going to get a better weekly reward. Usually people will stop at Champion 5 because maintaining the higher ranks takes a lot of effort and honestly not worth it. But, up until then, just keep climbing. You get first time promotion rewards. These are one time only. And you're just looking at that weekly reward, that weekly rank reward. Every Sunday or Monday is it, when the weekly reset happens, you'll get 800 Sky Stones at Champion 5. So that should be your end goal. Obviously, you probably won't get there for a while, but just make your way up. Even Challenger 5 and Master 5 are good goals to aim for because this is the best source of Sky Stones for free-to-play players. It is going to be from regular Arena. So that being said, when you're cleaving, you have to be very, very specific in what teams you hit. Honestly, the higher you get up to, this type of way of winning arena will probably be less efficient than other ways. Cleave teams generally start to become a lot harder to use because you're going to have to really surf through teams and see teams that can actually be cleaved, because not every single team in the game is actually able to be cleaved, right? When you're constructing your arena defense, actually, the first thing you want to make sure you have on your defense team is a way to answer cleave. And you can see mine, there's double RNG with Rem and Violet, and I have Bellion to stop cleave. So basically I have 3 answers to cleave there because it is the most popular way of climbing. Now that being said, what do you want in a cleave team? So I actually made a sample cleave team for you guys. Now this is probably one of the most budget jank cleave teams you can make, but it works, okay? So the first thing you need on every single cleave team is an opener. It is insanely important to go first. In fact, if you do not go first as a cleave team or as a cleaver in general, you probably will lose because your units are very squishy and your units are going to do a lot of damage. Now when you cleave, you're basically looking to have an opening unit that is very fast. So Gerardo is not the fastest unit in the game. He's pretty slow, but in the early ranks, if you can get him to about like 240, 250 speed, he should be good enough until Masters. And that shouldn't require too much gear, but it's still, kind of hard for early game players. So Cleave definitely does have gear requirements, right? A lot more stricter than other team comps, but if you do have the requirements for it, every game will be pretty fast and very easy. Cleave teams usually take only about 30 seconds to a minute to win. But yeah, you want Gerardo as your opener, or he could be one of your openers, right? And the reason why he's an opener, guys, is because of this one mechanic called Dispel. So dispelling a buff is very important because you need to dispel that buff, because usually people will be running immunity set on their defense teams most of the time. And by dispelling that immunity set, you can also then apply defense break, which will make your damage dealers pretty much one-shot anything. So you definitely need that dispeller. It's pretty much required, and it's very nice to also have that CR pushback on that dispeller. So you can see Gerardo here, even though he's a meme, he is a 3-star unit that you will eventually get. He's very good in cleave. He has a 100% chance to dispel 1 buff before decreasing CR by 15%. So you want him to go first so you can strip that immunity and then push the enemy CR back. And the reason why it's really important to push that CR back is because your following units are going to be a little bit slower than your opener. So after that, what do you need? So you can run either a defense breaker or an attack buffer. I usually prefer both. So a good attack buffer will actually be Rose. So Rose here, free to play unit, not free to play, but she is easy to get. She is a 4-star unit. Now obviously there are a lot more options, but she's very slow, but she does have an exclusive equipment that can make her a bit faster, right? Give her bonus 10 speed. But the reason why she's really good is because her S3 is an AoE attack buff and a CR push for your team. So generally, if you have Gerardo go first, strip everyone's buff, CR push them back, then Rose will be able to go next. You can have her attack buff your team and CR push your team. And then after that, because the enemy has no immunity, right? And they're all stripped and their CR pushed back, you can have Mui go next. So Mui is a Wyvern unit. But if you pull another copy, you can actually use him as an AoE defense breaker. You can see his S3 is a 50% chance to defense break. It goes to 75%, so usually 3 out of the 4 units will get defense broken. Then after that, he also does pretty decent damage with this as well. And the fact that you can actually build him a little bit slower and with more damage because of the fact that you have that CR pushback in Gerardo and CR push up with Rose makes it so you can actually deal damage. Then after that, you can have your final damage dealer go in. So I have Vildred in here. Obviously, you might not have him. You can use like Bloodblade Karen or even Green Bellona or SSB. Anything with an AoE S3, and just have him use your S3. You can obviously soul burn this if you run this with a Taga Hell's Ancient Book Holder, which gives you souls, and you clean up the fight. So the general turn order is going to be Gerardo here, into Rose, into Mui, into Vildred. Now this is just one sample team comp. There's so many ways to cleave, but I'm using this team because there are no ML 4 stars or 5 stars and should be easily accessible. You can always slot out other units, right? Now talking about this, how do you know what units are good for cleave? So obviously we talked about those 4 bases, but the fact that you need a CR pushback, right, and then a CR push up with attack buff, defense break, and then a damage deal, right, it makes it so that you need to use all of your 4 slots. And if you have your team locked in, it will make you need to really swap through or refresh arena pages to look for the right team to attack. That is why it is better to use units that are very flexible. And the reason why I say this is because Basar, very similar to Gerardo, except he's a little bit faster. And Basar is one of the best openers for cleave for the most part, not anymore, but he used to be very good, but he's still okay right now. And the reason why he's very good is because he is a mage. He can hold an artifact called Taga Hell's Ancient Book. So this will give you 20 souls. That makes it so that you can actually soul burn his S3, ignore effect resist. You don't need any effectiveness at all, whereas Gerardo will need a bit of effectiveness, especially if you use him later on into higher ranks. And then his S3 will always strip the buffs and always push back CR by 30%. So Gerardo's is 15%, guys. Basar is 30%, so it's a lot better, right? And then after that, if you have a unit known as Flan. So Flan is a very popular unit people use with Basar. She's very good because she has unhealable and decreased defense and CR pushback, right? So unhealable, not too important, guys, but she has that defense break and that CR pushback, and you can also soul burn this again if you have another mage holder. And the best reason, or the reason why she's so good, is because not only does she defense break and CR pushback, but she will also attack buff and crit hit damage buff and CR push 1 unit on your team. So you can see between Basar and Flan, if you have these 2 units and then 1 cleaver such as Bloodblade Karen or even that green Vildred I was talking about earlier, you can just have a 3-man cleave team, and that makes your team really flexible because your 4th slot can be used to actually counter whatever team you're fighting. So if you're fighting a unit or a team with barriers like Hua Young or Fallen Cecilia, Operator Sigurd's really good. If you're fighting a team with like Angel of Light, right, who uses her S2 after you use your cleave, you can run like a Politis, right, who also does a lot of damage. In fact, this would be perfect because now you can have 2 Taga Hell Ancient Book Holders, meaning you have double soul burn for both your Basar and your Flan, right? So things like this. Now, obviously, this is once you get more units, but this is how you upgrade your cleave team. In the beginning, though, I'd say until you get to Masters or even Challenger, you can get away with a budget cleave team, right? You just basically, if your units are just fast enough, then you'll be good to go. And say you pull like a Flan here, right, while you're using this team number 3 here I'm showing you, then you can replace your Mui and your Rose with Flan. It should be okay, but you definitely want to continue to upgrade your units. Now, obviously, there's a lot more units you can use for cleave. This is just an example. For example, like Elfelt is very good because she also has a defense break and attack buff. So if you have Elfelt, she can defense break and attack buff and open actually. So she's very, very strong. There's like a lot of options you can use. This is the easiest way to build your AoE cleave team, right? Even units like Shadow Rose are okay because she does have that, CR pushback and then CR push up for her team, right? So very decent. You just need to mix and match. The most important thing though is you make sure you have that checklist, guys, completed. You need an opener that goes first that can strip buffs. You need someone that can CR pushback, right? You need someone that can attack buff. Defense break is nice, and then you need an AoE damage dealer. And obviously you can mix and match and complete this checklist with only 3 units, making you available to have another unit to flex into. Now some of you guys might be saying, what about Ran? Ran is like the best cleaver in the game. You told me to pull him a while ago. He doesn't do anything but defense break, right? And attack buff, I guess, for himself. This is true, but he does have that defense break. But the reason why Ran's really good is because he strips, and because he is also paired pretty much primarily only with Summertime Hysteria when you're cleaving with her, because Summertime Hysteria will see our push for the Ran, right, because of that passive. And Summertime Hysteria does have those bombs to cleave with. So Summertime Hysteria cleave works a little bit differently, but we'll talk about that in the future in another one of my arena videos. But for now, just keep in mind that you guys want to follow this checklist to make your cleave team. It should be pretty easy. Now, if you're missing these units, it's okay. Just play the game a bit more, and you'll get into you'll get better cleave units as you play the game. But for now, definitely make sure you guys at least try to climb arena. It's very important for your sky stones. So that being said, let's go and check out how cleave works in action. I'll show you guys how my cleave team works. So here we go, guys. I found a team to cleave. Didn't have to refresh too much. Eventually, you just keep looking around. If you have enough flex units on the 4th slot built, you'll be able to find a team to cleave. This team I'm against actually should be pretty easy to cleave just because of the fact that I do have Ran and Flan here against a team that doesn't have any way to actually cut my team. So let's see how this goes. I'm pretty sure this should be a pretty easy cleave here. If I do end up losing a unit, it will probably be Villager to the Hwayang, but my Spectre Tenebria is here to actually just clean up right after as my flex unit. So let's see how this goes. As expected, my Ran is going to go first no matter what. I'd be pretty astonished. The game must be broken if he does not go first here. But yeah, you're going to see he goes first. And what I'm actually going to do here is I'm actually going to just S3 Raw because I do not want this Cowrick to cut on the 3rd turn with his Warhorn. So I'm going to Soul Burn this and then use my S3. And this is going to land on everyone because of the fact that it is a Soul Burned Ran S3, right? So there we go. Strips everyone, very nice. And now all I need to do here is actually boost my Villager here, and I do get souls from this because of the fact that she's on her artifact. And I just Soul Burn S3, and then everyone should die here besides probably I'd say the Hwayang, unless it hits through. Oh, and it did hit through. Oh, and it hit again. But yeah, now I just have whatever unit I had here. It could have been any single book holder, right? You just S1 or S3 or whatever, and they are dead. So yeah, that's pretty much how the cleave works. Very simple. As you can see, this battle took what, like 10 seconds? Otherwise, like you'd be doing like an auto team in arena or doing it manually. It could take like 3, 4, 5 minutes. So cleave is the most efficient way to climb arena, and it is the most fun way because you don't have to sit there and grind through it. So that being said, I hope you guys found this video helpful, guys. You know, arena is a very, very important thing to do, and just understanding how to make that first cleave team. I think cleave is the best way to climb early game is very important. If you guys have any questions or you guys are wondering whether certain team comps can work, make sure you guys let me know down below. I'll definitely be making an arena tier list in the near future for cleave, because there's a lot of cleave units, so it's really hard for me to list all of them. But yeah, until then, I hope to see you guys on another one of my videos and even one of my live streams, and I hope you guys have a great week. Peace.